Hi everybody, welcome to Season 5, Episode 13 of The Hard Truth, Inside the Football Industry podcast. With me, Philip Ideson, and Darragh MacAnthony, the chairman and owner of Peterborough United. It's been a couple of weeks, so we have...
I was nearly going to cancel because some smart arse on Twitter, I think he was a Reading fan, just put a comment up and said, "Oh, suppose you'd be recording a podcast because you won at the weekend." It's just I'm like, I was only going to message you, go, scrub the fucking podcast.
Right.
Yeah,
we're not going to prove him right.
Yeah, for everyone in the UK, obviously Thanksgiving's like Christmas in the US. We all had that last week. You had stuff, I had stuff, and look, we apologise. We're not getting them out as regular as we'd like to. I think Peterborough, their own podcast, probably had more episodes than we do. Yeah. So, but you're growing a business. I'm running a football club, fucking moving a house, fucking, putting another kid in college. It's kind of busy. So yeah, apologies to the fans. And
if we only did them every time Bradford won, then we'd be never doing them.
Woo! Yeah, no.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah. Don't be getting down on yourself. Yeah. Did I see that we lost our title in the podcast awards?
Yeah, we were put into a different category.
Ridiculous.
I guess we stormed the other category that they felt they'd put us in another division, which
I mean, they've shafted us royally, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, absolutely screwed us. They put us in with like the overlap, I think all mainstream.
Yeah, all
podcasts.
the big, Sky productions and stuff. So I guess we need to have a word with some of your mates in the media and get a big fancy studio and some big fancy mics.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, we're like a fans podcast. I don't know why they've done that to us. I mean, what was we 2 years in a row or 3 years in a row? We won bronze, silver, and gold. Yeah. I mean, that's shocking. That is from that lot. So not happy. So we're just going to notice. No, we're not bitter, motherfuckers. Anyway, what's been going on in the football world?
well, let's start, outside of Posh and Bradford with ticket prices. So there's been a lot of noise in the last week or so around Manchester United and protests at the game versus Everton after the club raised ticket prices up to £66 with no concessions for kids or OAPs. And the club saying, well, we need to do this because we need the money, essentially. How much... So I look at this in two ways. One is you're putting a product you're an entertainment business, you're putting a product on the field, the product costs money to put on. It's your prerogative to charge whatever you want for people to come and see this product. Yeah. On the other hand, TV money makes such a big portion of revenue. How much at that level really does an extra 20 quid in ticket price make?
There's the moral obligation, of looking after fans, because a lot of the arguments around Tottenham's new stadium and a lot of foreigners are coming to games and paying like top prices, and the local fans get squeezed out. So there's that. I get that moral argument. I totally get it. Like if Peterborough United by some miracle in the Premier League and you suddenly had all these foreigners coming and buying tickets, and suddenly you had 3,000 local Peterborough fans squeezed out. Yeah. Couldn't afford to come, I'd feel absolutely awful about it. Man United's a business. A lot of these, clubs are a big business. I guess where people will feel irritated is they're paying 10 million to fire managers off, to sack them. And then they're raising prices on tickets and pricing out the local. I'd be interested to hear what Gary Neville has to say. He usually has an opinion on everything, including helping getting the most recent Prime Minister into power, where we spoke about it last week, which just killed us on the national insurance front. But I wonder what the opinion of those people are. And obviously it's owned by Radcliffe now in a big way, and they're making a lot of changes. So you're hearing a lot of rumblings. I don't know what the answer is. It would be easy for me to criticize Premier League clubs. I'm not in the Premier League. I've always said if we were in the Premier League, I'd probably do a year for free for most of the season ticket holders, because I think after the journey they would, probably deserve that. I've made mistakes on ticket prices. There's been errors over the years. In the 19 years I've been there, there's no perfect science. We don't always get it right. We've had a freeze for a couple of years. People know our prices will be going up next year. Inflation's killing every club. I'm not saying it's doing that to Man United, but it's certainly hurting our clubs. I was on an EFL meeting yesterday, which was interesting. I was asked to, I don't usually go on those meetings to CEOs and owners, but I went one yesterday because I was asked by the board and some of the representatives of League One, could I come on and talk to the group of owners, particularly the newish owners, to encourage them about, financial fair play and all those things that we're trying to get in line. So that was really interesting. Everyone's suffering, everyone's hurting, clubs wise, but your clients are hurting, your fans are hurting. So it's that fine line of doing it right without completely punishing your client base. But what really is you're punishing is the demand. Because there is just Man United, you know, particularly under this new manager, they look very good and they look like they could change a corner very quickly. When they're winning and they're successful, I'm sure there's waiting list bigger than any other club. As a Liverpool fan, it pains me to say that, but that's just the truth. Probably no different at Liverpool. This is the business, and Man United fans will want them to go out and spend 100 million, 150 million over the next 2 windows for the new manager. They'll argue, well, to do that in financial fair play, the only way we can spend is by increasing our revenue. People will then argue, well, what about dividends and interest payments and loans and all those things? And so that's the crux of it. I'm not qualified to have that argument. I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who work the finances and do podcasts can have that argument. Football's expensive, but I would say that we just spoke before we came on air. Everything's bloody expensive now. Like everything. You know, it just is. It's like, this is, you know, since COVID, it's just everything's really, really pricey, and it's probably going to get a lot more expensive in the UK over the next 4 or 5 years. Why the new government go about with their wish list to pay for this, and this, using everyone else's money. So it's just going to get worse, unfortunately.
Yeah, the supply and demand, I think, is important, and that's what makes it. You can be critical, but you understand, like, from a purely business perspective, you want to maximize the amount of revenue you get per season at the end of the day. And if there's demand there, then from a business, they put their pure business hat on, they'll say, why not? And when I look at smaller clubs, then I look at what we did at Bradford when we had the cheap prices for, I don't know how many years it's been now. It's probably been 10, 15 years. And, you know, we did that because we didn't have the demand. So, you know, we reduced the price of the tickets. We suddenly have demand. Now, some clubs can't do that because their total addressable kind of supporter base isn't big enough that would support you.
No, and I always said, if in a world where, say, I was involved at Bradford, and let's calm down before everyone gets excited. I'm not saying that. We're just doing a what if. I would say to the Bradford fans, look, it's been far too cheap.
Yeah.
And the product's been too cheap because maybe the product on show, the football's not been great. So I want to change that. I'm going to charge you more, but I'm going to make it more exciting.
Yeah.
And bloody hell, when you watch Posh teams, it's bloody exciting in our places, the games and whatever the goals. So you're getting value for money. So your 150 quid season ticket might be 250.
Yeah.
But we're going to go and buy players, and we're going to score goals, and we're going to have crazy score lines and 6-4s and 5-4s and 4-3. And, you know, so you explain it to the fan base. Look, the one message yesterday really clear from the thing on the EFL was that we all have to get our house in order of, you know, we can't keep, you know, giving money. If there's any excess money, it can't keep going one way, which is usually to the players.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the inflation's hitting everyone, and it has to stop. It's getting silly. And, you know, we've seen it this summer.
How do you solve for that then? Because that's always the case, isn't it? Every time there's more, and it's not just the EFL, it's the Premier League, it's, you know, US leagues when they do their new big deals. It always ends up, there's more money available, so more money goes to the players. And that's it only takes one club to say, oh, I'm going to pay that player that much money 100%. Because I can now, and it sets the market.
So financial fair play, salary protocols, they're all the things we spoke about yesterday. Keeping those things in place, keeping those things within the letter of the law, making sure that there are rules in place and there are checks and balances, so that, and no disrespect to anyone who wants to, if they're allowed and they have it in their budget to go out and give someone 10, 20 grand a week, good for them, no problem. I've always said I have no problem with that. But at the end of the day, we want to be financially prudent. We can't try and do deals with the Premier League and ask for more money if we're spending all the money on players.
Yeah.
So that was a big emphasis of the meeting, that, you know, we want to improve facilities. We want to make it cheaper for fans to come. We want to reduce debt. You keep handing you get an extra 500 grand or an extra £1 million a year, and 900 grand of it goes to the players. With all due respect, you're not going anywhere. You're just paddling around in circles. It's not making a dent. So by having those levers in place and that financial fair play and salary protocol, you know, control in there, that allows us to be able to go, hey, these are the rules. We can't give you those wages, and we can't do this with that money. And then, you know, the PFA, the agents, the players, they have to understand that I can't break the rules. I'm sorry. You know, I in the summer, I had to say no to players certain places because we didn't have the space. The EFL wouldn't let me, you know, wouldn't have, if I'd put them in, wouldn't have allowed those contracts go through.
Yeah.
So you can argue, well, I want an extra 700 quid a week. Great. I'd love to give you 1,400 quid a week extra. If I could, maybe I would. I fucking wouldn't. But the reality is it wouldn't be allowed. So, you know, that's where we have to be as one, as an EFL, very strong on that. Whereas you might get some new owners come in and go, well, we don't like that. We want to spend our way to the Premier League. Fine, great. But, and that's the dream, and everyone gets overexcited when they first buy a club. But there has to be the follow on that, hey, you don't know what's going to happen in 2-3 years' time. Yeah. So whilst you might be worth X amount now, in 2 or 3 years' time, your circumstances could change. And suddenly you've gone and, you know, you've spent the money and you've gone on that run and you've gone, yikes, now I'm losing 8 million a year and I don't want to fill that hole anymore. So that's why I spoke about yesterday, that common sense has to come into play. And having been in the business 19 years, trust me when I say it, we all want to get promoted. We all want to be competitive. We all want to get to the top and have that dream. And some clubs are bigger and they can do that and whatever. But just let's calm down about getting carried away with just throwing money away. You know, let's do it as prudently as we can, because 99% of the people involved have their own business and they wouldn't do it in their private businesses, but they do it in football. So that's what a lot of those conversations were about. So yeah, in answer to the question, the ticket thing or whatever else, I get it. You know, people are hurting all over the place. It's a really, really tough thing to crack.
Well, let's go into Posh since we last spoke. So you lost to Reading at 2-1 and then beat Notts County 4-3, the 2 games since we last spoke. Yeah,
battered Cambridge and played Reading. We're brilliant against Reading. Conceded 2 of the shittest goals you're ever going to see. And then pretty much 25 shots on goal. It was just one of them. We played really well. You know, like sometimes you don't play well and you're like, you know, we played 20 times worse against Stevenage at home and won that game. Robbed that game. And against Reading, we were very good. Very, very good. And Reading are a good team, by the way. They're no mugs. And then we played, Notts County on Saturday. Very important to get into the 3rd round. Took it very seriously. They're a good team, as you know. They're doing well in League 2. They like to dominate and control the ball. I thought we were superb. You know, 15 minutes, we should have been 2-0 up. Ricky, the goal disallowed. It was a perfect onside goal. And we're absolutely coasting. They haven't even left the halfway line to get into our half. And then 2 crosses into the box and it's 2-1 down. And you just, like, my hair is going grayer and grayer and grayer. And I'm sat in my new office at home in America. I've had the stream done, you know, for me and other people, because the FA Cup or whoever won't give us a VIP stream anymore. So we have to do that now, which I still find fucking ridiculous. And I'm just looking at it. I'm screaming. My wife can hear me screaming at the TV. Like, you are driving me mad. Like, we're so comfortable. And just within the space of 4 minutes, we're 2-1 down. So then obviously I thought we were good. We had great intent. We played good football. And then we laid on, we scored 3 goals. We got bang, 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 created a lot of other chances. You know, we're 4-2 up. They're down to 10 men because they'd made a lot of subs. They had an injury. We're absolutely, coasting. Probably there was 8-9 minutes of injury time. So they time wasted a lot during the game. And, you know, you're thinking, we score more goals. Or, you know, you see the game out. It's like 3 minutes to go. You know, the game's going nowhere. Our goalie goes to take a free kick. Everyone's left the half. They're in the opposition half. And he falls over and kicks it to their player 40 yards out. Their player basically, you know, 9 times out of 10 misses. Fucking, you know, I feel for our goalie. You know,
it feels like he's cursed with some of these that happen.
I'm just, and then I'm like 3 minutes left. I'm shitting myself and going, oh my God. Like, oh my God, this is the most comfortable game ever. And I just want to get in a plane and go and, like, murder a load of people. You know, I know the new rules in England about what you can say and can't say. You can get locked up. And, you know, all that. So I got to be careful what I say. But I'm just like, I'm just screaming in there. And I'm gutted because their goalie made a mistake about 20 minutes before where he passed it, even a worse mistake, passed it straight to our attacker on the edge of the box. And, of course, our shot goes straight at their goalie and he saves it. Our goalie makes a human error and the guy fucking nails it from 40 yards with the wind. The bloody thing curves all the way in.
And you keep it against the wrong side of the post when it's coming over. And
I'm gutted for him because, you know, he's been very good. So anyway, and again, just frustrating and it's easy for, and I see the fans, it's the defense, it's this, it's that. And I'm like, look, that's not going to help any of our defenders right now. So all I'd say there is we're all frustrated, and they are as well. And they don't go out intentionally not to get clean sheets and not to be solid. And there are good players in there, I'm convinced. You know, Manny, our Swede, you know, young Neville was brilliant when he came on. You know, Donnelly's called up by England under 20 since we last spoke. The elite squad, which is 3 players for Posh in the last 18 months, have had that honour. I don't think a lot of clubs in League One have done that. Brilliant for our academy. You know, Jack Sparks is a League One title winner. You know, with Portsmouth, you know, they're not shit defenders.
Yeah.
They're not shit defenders. I know some of our fans and some people go, look at your record, look at the goals you conceded, look at the, you know, and they're not. You know, you look at them all, you know, some of those players are coveted, believe it or not. They're not what you think. So it's just super frustrating. For whatever reason, they just can't make it work at the moment. And I'm hoping they get that breakthrough. The one thing I'll say is fair play to the team, the squad as a whole, that they're not blaming each other, that they're together, and they're not. A lot of other teams, maybe with more experienced players, might be digging out the defenders, vice versa if the attacker, you know, our attack has to bail them out and score 3-4 goals a game. And that can wear thin. But I don't think with our young group it will. I think they see it as a collective. A lot of the players, and talking to them and hearing them, is that they're not going, well, our defenders aren't keeping clean sheets. We're not keeping clean sheets. So it's a little bit like that at the moment, and it's painful, you know. But I will go back to when Darren Ferguson came back after Gary Johnson. We were one of the worst defensive teams in the fucking league. We were winning games 4-3, 5-3, 6-4. We were 2-0 down in like 4 games that season under Johnson. You know, it was like that. And these were defenders like Sequani, Ryan Bennett, players like that, and you know, good players, Charlie Lee. And when we went into the business end of the season, we clicked. Particularly going into the playoffs, bar the first leg, we went bang, bang with 2 clean sheets to end the season. Second leg and final. We went from being absolute kamikaze defending to looking really solid because everything just in unison clicked. And I guess we're all hoping, whether it's now, whether it's in a month, whether it's next season, I don't know, that it will click. Yeah. And it would be really, I've seen people like, go sign experience, go sign whatever else. But okay, so let me go sign a 32-year-old in January. I'm not convinced it's going to make a difference. And you asked Jed Steer what it's like being in our dressing room. The cultural difference between him and everyone else is immense because of the age gap. Yeah. When you got out a team with an average age of 21 and you bring in someone 10 years older, it's like fucking dad coming into camp. So I'm not sure it'd be good for an experienced person coming in, never mind the actual team. And that's just the way we are. So look, everyone's frustrated. The coaches are working really hard. The players are fucking training their nuts off. You know, I'm hoping, you know, there's been a lot of, some of the goals, even against Cambridge, dominated Cambridge, and then they have a shot that by a millimetre from distance goes in. You know, it's just silly things where you're thinking, Jesus, cut us a break. Like, I'm still convinced if we got 2 clean sheets, I think we'd get 5-6 out of the next 8-9 games if we did. And I think when we learn to do it, and it happens, we will.
Do you think there's more pressure on them because they haven't a clean sheet?
Yeah, they feel it. Everyone feels it. I think everyone's anxious. The minute somebody, you know, puts a ball in the box or, you know, whatever, everyone's anxious. I'd say the players are anxious, fans are anxious, I'm anxious. You know, everyone's anxious. And I think what we need a total performance in a few games where it's a complete domination. Because the only way you stop your defense having to do any work is keep the ball. Keep the ball. Keep the ball down the other end. Keep the ball down that end. You know, we're good enough to do it. So learn on the job. That's how you do it. Because nobody's coming in right now to rescue you. I get January's around the corner, but, you know, without moves and whatever else, we're capped out. So it's not like I can go out and give some 32-year-old Mark Beavers type player 4 or 5 grand a week. It's just not happening. So, you know, that's just the way it goes. Yes, well, you know, are we going to try and do a couple of things and potentially if some go, some, you know, whatever else? Yes. But, you know, we've got a new striker coming in, which is Ricky's replacement in the summer, really. And now Ricky's like on fire as our number 9, which is great news. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. It's really frustrating. You know, 1 minute we're Real Madrid, the next minute we're not, you know, and I guess it's that youth, it's that inexperience, it's learning. But I enjoy watching it. I don't know how our fans feel. There are grumblings, I guess. Majority, I think, understand what we're trying to do, appreciate what we're doing. It's not ideal where we are. We want to fly up the table. We want to win games, but I think there's a nucleus of something really special here. and I'm just waiting for that other shoe to drop and go bang, 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 bang. So yeah,
I was thinking about this because I'm thinking about our situation at Bradford, you know, and we all got very excited about one academy player finally coming through and being on the bench and having a chance to play, and that, you know, he's the homegrown player, and then you look at your squad, and you know that's the rule, not the exception. They're all homegrown, they're all young players. It's all, you know, the players that you want to get behind and you want them to succeed because they've been with you for a long time. And that's, to me, that's what you want when you're in a, you know, a League One or League Two club. That's kind of part of the soul of the club, is you want players that are some of your own. And we've had one in years, you know, and you have this production line. Well, and sometimes I think that's get missed.
Yeah, it does. And I think, you know, even if you go through the team, for example, you know, Malik came to us at 19. So he's almost like one of ours. Yes, he was from Chelsea's academy, but, you know, Ricky's been with us since he was 9. Kwame came to us at 19 and played in our 21s, which is part of our academy. You know, in midfield, again, you look at it, you got Donne, you look at James Donnelly at right back, you got Nevitt, who's 18 now, again, who could play under fucking 18 games, never mind 21 games. You've got all the way through the spine of the squad a very strong identity. You know, more players have been capped this season, again, from the 21s to the 18s. And believe it or not, there's an even bigger dearth of talent right underneath all of this in the 16s and 18s that are coming through over the next couple of years. But that's a credit to the academy. And should they come through, that's a credit to the manager and the staff who give them the opportunity. So I get excited by it. And I'm impatient because I want them to do it quicker. You know, we've got a striker playing in our 18s. He's 15, and he's got like 10 and 15 playing for the 18s. And you know, he's like the next Ricky. And I'm super excited, but he's only 15. So we're trying to keep a low thing on him until he turns 17 before he gets nicked, because he is lightning and he could be something special. And we forget Ricky's now 22, but he's been around forever. And he's still a young 22, and now he's scoring goals and doing all the things. But there's nothing better, you know, whether it's Harrison Burrows captain in our team and coming as a homegrown from our academy at Wembley with the trophy, scoring goals. That is the greatest feeling as a football club owner and as a fan, in my opinion. So I'm not one for turning. I love what we're doing. I know it frustrates our fans. I know everyone's just like, oh, yeah, you need to sign defenders. Oh, you need to do this. I really am convinced we've got some amazing defenders at the club, as mad as that sounds right now. I do. And quite a few of them who are getting flack right now will play a lot higher than where we currently are. That's the mad thing. So they got to figure it out. And I can't play for them. The manager and the staff can't play for them. They've got to, you know, Bolton away was one of the best defensive performances I've seen from us in 3 or 4 years. And we were kicked in the fucking nuts again, you know, like 2 minutes past the injury time, the 98th minute. And, you know, I felt for them, but there were signs there. So they have to find that within themselves, because it's bodies on lines. It's doing what you got to do. And I think they will. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But, you know, for now, I back them. I enjoy what I'm watching. It's not perfect. It was a good game on Saturday. I was fucking nervous at the end, but it was a good game.
Well, now they're going to get the chance to show themselves against Everton.
Yes, yes, yes. Very important to, you know, I look at it, the win double in Merseyside. Everton and then Liverpool in the 4th round, right? I'm joking. I was laughing with people saying, we've got a chance. How disrespectful to Everton. Like, with all due respect, like, you know, look.
The gap is still the gap between the Premier League and the Championship and beyond.
You know, come on. And it's like, and I'm not being a defeatist, you know, on any given Sunday, as they say in football, you know, you'd like, and we've had 19 years waiting for that to happen. So I won't hold my breath. You know, many times we haven't shown up in the big occasion in those cup games we've been expected to do well in. I hope it's brilliant for the fans. I hope it's brilliant for the players. I think it's going to be potentially could be one of the last FA Cup games at 𝗛𝗿𝗃. So, because they're moving to a new stadium, and if they end up, you know, away from home in the next rounds, it could be. So it could be a bit of history. I'd love it to be on TV. So, you know, selling it well. So we'll see. But yeah, it's of course, everyone will want a ticket, and, you know, it's an older stadium. We don't know many tickets or hospitality. But look, put all that aside, you know, for us now, it's the league, EFL Trophy last 32. And that's our focus, whether it's Burton, Crawley coming up, the Northampton game, the cup game against Northampton. We have to have now a really good December. If we want to, you know, get ourselves in the mix, if we want to start turning the corner and get some consistency going, now's the time to do it.
I wanted to just ask you about Ronnie Edwards.
Sure.
So he's obviously left to go to Southampton in the summer.
Yeah.
I think he was on the bench maybe for the first time in the week last week, and looks set to go out on loan to a Championship club. Now, is that the progress that you would expect for him at this point in his career? That's kind of the trajectory that he needs to take before he then establishes himself up as a Premier League player?
I thought he might have got maybe a League Cup game. I thought he might have got, you know, a couple of games early on for Southampton, but obviously whatever happens, I'm not going to question Russell Martin at Southampton. You know, they know what they're doing. So he's young enough. Get him out on loan for 6 months, put him at a club at the top of the champ, you know, so that and a team that plays like Southampton, you've got to really identify. There's no point in him going into a club that's maybe struggling or plays a different way. They've got to play like Southampton, not as much as Southampton, but similar. So if I were them, that's who I'd identify as let's get him to the best club that fits him, get him 6 months of confidence, get him playing again, make sure he's 25 plus games from January to the summer, and see where he is in the summer if he's made that step up. And then you're ready to rock and roll next year. And if Southampton are fortunate to be in the Premier League, give them a shot. If they're in the champ, you know, you got one of the best defenders in the Championship who would be, what, 22? So, you know, it's made.
Does it, when you're looking at clubs to go down on loan, does it really matter where they are in the league? Is it more about the fit of the way they play? And, you know, like, it doesn't matter if he goes to a, you know, bottom 6, let's say, that's not that's not indicative of his talent. It's just that's a team that plays his style that will give him.
My worry would be if you put him in a club like that, maybe they're going to change their manager and then change the style.
Okay.
So if you stuck him with a club that's fighting in a relegation battle down the bottom of the champ, there's always a danger they could pull the trigger. Yeah. And then you could have a manager come in and go, well, actually, we're not playing out from the back. We're going to play a certain way. And then you've wasted like 6 months of a loan. So I guess that's where your loan manager has to earn their bread and butter. And you put them, you know, I've seen a few things. It was at Norwich were mentioned and other clubs or whatever else. And there's some good clubs there from good fits. So ideally he breaks into the Southampton team over Christmas. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, obviously it doesn't look like it's happening. But I want him to do well. I want Ephron to do well on the Lampard. I want, you know, Harrison to continue doing well for Sheffield United. So, you know, and hopefully Josh is going gangbusters out in Germany.
and Ephron got his first goal, didn't he, for Coventry?
He did.
Last week.
He did. I believe Lampard's assistant was at one of the clubs who tried to buy Ephron last year. I want to say Millwall. So he's going to have a good chance under this management team. And if Coventry can get the best out of him, it'd be like a new signing. Trust me on that.
So we're recording this Tuesday. So you've got Burton tomorrow.
Sure.
And then you got Northampton away and Crawley at home coming up.
Yeah. We've got if we're not switched on, we'll lose the games. We need to be on it. You know, and whether it's against Burton or Northampton or whatever else, you take every game seriously. I heard Darren talk about it earlier, like, you know, Burton, whatever else, but like, you know, we're not at the top of the table. We're not like top 7 or 8. So why do we have a divine right to beat anybody? So we have to focus and concentrate. It doesn't matter if we're playing Burton or if we're playing Birmingham or Wycombe. At the end of the day, and we've seen it with our players, if you don't have the right attitude, you don't turn up, you're going to have a problem. And that's key. So you have to respect everyone in League One. And we'll do that for Burton. We'll do it for Crawley. We'll do it for Northampton. So there's some big games coming up. Yep. And like we now have to really, really kind of get the head switched on and go, right, we need some consistency here. It's all very well winning 5-1 or 6-1, whatever else. But then if you lose the net, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
So you know, let's get at it now. You know, and move past the injuries, the bad defense, the this, that, whatever else. Let's stop. Let's just go forward now. Hector's back. Rio, our left back, we spent a lot of money in the summer. He's now on the grass again in a couple of days. You know, and then the Man City boy returns in January. So touch wood. You know, and our Colchester boy will be another few weeks. So we want to be at full strength. And we also have our Swedish, you know, number 9 coming in to rival Ricky. So before I sell Ricky for many millions. So yeah, it's exciting. No, I'm looking forward to it. You know, at the end of the day, I know, you know, ideally you want to be where Wycombe are, you want to be up there, you want to be whatever else. Okay, so we're not. So now we got to chase it. You know, it's not done until it's done. So we're going to have to come from deep, and we haven't done that. So maybe this is a challenge for us and see where it takes us. You know, but nobody's given up at the club. You know, we always want to compete at the top end of the table. And we've just been patchy so far this season. So I'm hoping that's just early days patchiness from youngsters and young people who haven't played a lot of football. And they thrive now as you kick into the second half of the season. But to do that, you're going to need a good platform in December. What about yourselves? Let's get on to the Banthams. What happened on the weekend?
So since we last spoke, we drew 1-1 away at Colchester, conceded 2 minutes past the 8 minutes of injury time. You know, one of those where crappy corner, like how for the life of you didn't you defend that at the front post? And there you go, 1-1, you throw the game away. Then we had Rotherham at home in the EFL Trophy. We lost 1-0. We were both qualified for the next round. I mean, winning would have got us home advantage in the next round. Accrington, we were postponed. Probably a good decision. It was when we had the snow and the rain, and we saw how badly the pitch cut up last season after playing on it when we probably shouldn't have done. So I think that was a good decision to just not risk the long term for the pitch and protect it a little bit. And then we lost on Saturday to our favourite Derek Adams' Morecambe. 1-0. It was a pretty dire game. We then had a player sent off about 76, 77 minutes in, which essentially, at least from the footage I saw afterwards, was a bit of a shove on the sideline, and the other guy jumps into the advertising boarding. Referee comes right up and sends him off. And I mean, again, we should have been... We can't use that as an excuse, but it changed the complexity of the last 15 minutes. They scored with 8 minutes to go, and we lost 1-0. So it's been pretty tough. The football's not been great. Graham Alexander back under pressure. We haven't won in 7 at this point. As usually happens, you know, now everybody starts getting fingers pointed at them again. So
no.
You know, Ryan's getting...
we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, like top 3, like, you know, potentially. Yeah. Don't tell me Ryan's under the cosh again, is he?
So he's under the cosh again. You know, head of recruitment is David Sharp. Is everyone, you know, is you know, talks of letters being written to the club. Stefan wrote you know, a letter to supporters just saying, hey, this is what's going on. There's more money that will be made available in the transfer window in January. You know, we put all this money into maintenance at the stadium, and you know, you get the usual, well, why are we wasting money on building a new roof for the club shop when we should be putting it all in players? I mean, you can't really win. And I understand, you know, you want as much money on the pitch, on the grass, as you possibly can, but you still have to have a stadium that doesn't leak and that abides by the terms of its rental agreement in terms of maintenance that you've got to do. So, you know, you can't really get away from doing that kind of stuff as much as you want more money being spent on players. So, you know, we're in that kind of spot where there's a little bit of unhappiness going around the club, which will be solved with a couple of wins. As usual, we've got some of the injured players are starting to come back. So that gives us a little bit more, hopefully a bit more firepower. I think that's been our biggest problem, really, is for all the trying, we just haven't had still haven't got a partner for Andy Cook that's done anything, which is a surprise, you know, given that we've talked about the players that they did bring in seem to be ones that had potential.
Yeah, you got some good players. I'm really surprised that a couple of them haven't kind of kicked on and scored goals.
Yeah. So that's where we are at the moment. We've got, so as I say before, we're recording this Tuesday. So this afternoon or this evening, we've got Barrow at home, and then we got Crewe away, and then Stockport away in the EFL Trophy.
Okay. Interesting run of results. How are you feeling?
I think we're in this spot where, you know, you're frustrated by performances. You're looking and thinking there's not been that much to get excited about. That being said, it's not like the season's over.
No.
Yeah, there's plenty of season left to go. So it just feels like it's one of those sticky patches, you know, within a season that you often get, and that we just need to kind of scrap our way out of it and turn the momentum back around and then go on a good run. And then I'm sure we'll come across another sticky patch. But that's kind of where it feels we are at the moment. But every time we get a sticky patch, everybody just wants to go all in and, you know, take down the club.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's football. It's the fans. It's like deja vu, isn't it? Every year, you know, win those 3 games you just mentioned, it all changes. The optimism changes. You go into Christmas in a really good kind of, you know, run of form. Well, I don't know what to say. It's almost like you say the same things every fucking year.
I know, right?
Oh God Almighty!
One of these years, you know. But I mean, this could still be the year. I think there's too much pessimism.
I do too. I do too. I think that league's wide open. I do.
Yeah.
You know, is anyone running away with it?
Port Vale. I don't know how many points clear. If I just grab the table at the moment, Port Vale 34 points, Walsall 31, Crewe 30. You know, we've got 23, so we're 7 points off 3rd place with a game in hand.
Okay, so it's not all doom and gloom.
No,
nothing.
We're in 10th place at the moment.
Okay, so it's a platform. So you know, you got to get people back fit. You got to give the manager a chance. You know, you need to get busy. You need to run a results, a little bit like we need to. You know what I mean? No point winning 1. You need to win 2. You need to win 3. So you know that's what needs to happen. And then I would say to the fans, just save the outrage till the other side of Christmas, just to see where you are and you come out of it.
Well, usual is the manager has the transfer window, and then you know the outrage ramps up in the first week of February. And
when nothing's spent, when there's no players coming in,
the axe falls. You know, sometimes in the middle to the end of February.
Oh God! Well,
usually my birthday coincides, which is February, with manager sackings.
No, you know, listen. Hopefully, it won't be like that. I think look, we both our clubs need a really, really fantastic December, and then you go into January full of optimism and full of excitement and full of new year, new this, new that, and that's what you want to do. So you know, and it's like we sometimes forget. I saw a graphic the other day. Again, I think Wycombe are top of this graphic, but the most wins in all competitions in 2024. I think Peterborough's like top 4.
Yeah,
I think we've won nearly 30 games this year. So sometimes you forget about that progress. You forget about isolated results, and you're not doing as well and not flying up the table as much as you'd like to. But you look at it and go, well, actually, 2024 is pretty good. And if you replicate that in 2025, you're going to be in a good spot. So, sometimes you need a bit of calm. Calmate day, everybody. What else is going on in the football world?
Meanwhile, your other love are doing pretty well at the top of the Premier League right now. What is it? 9 points clear or 11 points clear? I saw of Manchester City.
11 of Man City and 9 of Arsenal and the rest of the group. Yeah. So, I don't know what to say. I mean, this guy seems to have the Midas touch. I watched them, dismantle City on Sunday and win comfortably. City are obviously at a low ebb. That's not going to last forever. They will get players back. They will sign players, and Pep Guardiola's the GOAT. So I expect them to charge. Somebody's going to get a good scene too from Man City. And when somebody gets a good scene too, that'll kick on to other results. Liverpool, my fear is injuries. Yeah, they lost Bradley. They lost obviously Konate again, who's tends to pick up injuries every year. It's my only fear. Losing Van Dijk, losing Mo Salah, those kind of players. I'm not sure we can keep that momentum up. But winning 18 of your first 20 games in all competitions is ludicrous. Yeah. I mean, ludicrous. Yeah, this guy is like,
and the quality of the teams he played against.
You forget about they haven't played anyone yet. I mean, Real Madrid. What are they going to be saying come January? Oh well, they haven't played anyone away yet. I mean, seriously, it won't matter by the time you play some of those teams away if you've wrapped it up. So if they stay fit, they'll win the title. If they stay fit, that's my concern. I think Arsenal are the danger. I've always backed Man City. Obviously, Man City have got a bit of rebuilding and retooling to do. So they might not be what I thought they were going to be in the second half, but I would never discount them either. And if anyone has a slip, Arsenal have a slip, Liverpool have a slip, you just know Man City will be there to absolutely devour any slip up. So yeah, it makes for entertainment. Chelsea, who I tipped in the summer to be a dark horse, they're flying, as I thought.
They've only lost 2 in 13 so far.
Yeah, Man United will be a force under this new manager. Mark my words, they will be different. So nobody will be rolling in against Man United expecting to be winning games like they were in the past. They'll be a lot more challenging. Who knows? But I'm enjoying the ride, and
I mean, the table's pretty bunched up at the moment, going down Bournemouth in 13th on 18 points, up to Brighton in 4th on 23. So only 5 difference. I'm looking at this thinking, about Newcastle. You know, what's next for Newcastle? Is it, you know, is obviously when the people that invested in Newcastle invested, it's not for mid-table, 3 years, 4 years into their journey.
Both Newcastle and Aston Villa have been a victim of their success in the PSR and all the rules, where they can't spend what they want to. They're both owned by incredibly wealthy people.
Yeah.
Both have got into the Champions League. Newcastle, obviously, a year ago, Villa this year. And you're seeing the hangover from not having the squad you need to have, maybe, you know, to be able to apply on a weekend what you apply on a Tuesday or Wednesday night. And there's your argument for, well, you know, these clubs could do it a little bit more squad depth, and those rules are stopping them from doing it. And do those rules need to be looked at? And then you'll have a Liverpool going, well, actually, we pay our own way. We wipe our nose and we spend what we bring in, and we, you know, and that's the way we do it. And we're top of the league. So, you know, I don't know the answer. You know, at the end of the day, there's no doubt Newcastle need a little bit of help. There's no doubt Villa are having a bit of a low ebb in the league. And there's no doubt that your Brightons of the world are showing through their genius recruitment and what they do that they're a force to be reckoned with in the Premier League. So it's Brentford having a great season. It really is a fascinating Premier League this year.
Yeah, and aside from Liverpool running away with things at the moment, it's actually pretty bunched up. And there's no, you know, you look at the form table, and again, put Liverpool aside, there's lots of losses, you know, all the way from second all the way down. So everyone's beating everybody else this season.
Yeah, it's going to be a blockbuster 2025. You know, I would love Liverpool deserved an extra title over the last 10 years. They were pipped by 100 points, by this, by that, by, you know, Man City at their best. And it was like just unfortunate that time you were going up against a runaway train, and you just love Liverpool to nick another title. It would just be fantastic for their fans.
I think any neutral would say, you know, because when you won the title during COVID and the fans didn't get to support,
they weren't there. They weren't there.
Part of it. There's something to be said for Liverpool being able to celebrate with their fans and winning a title.
Correct. And I haven't seen that since I was a very young boy. So, you know, 12, 13. So to be able to witness that would be absolutely long way to go. You know, I'd messages from people and I go, oh, you know, Liverpool have wrapped the title up. And I'm just like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, seriously, the Premier League is relentless. Like, you know, like I said, injuries, contract issues, all those things are going to roll into 2025. So, you know, I hope Liverpool by January are 15 points clear. Then I'll feel a lot more relaxed about it. You know what I mean? And you know, where it's going. But watch this space. Yeah,
so Ruud van Nistelrooy was appointed by Leicester as manager. And I didn't even know that he was really in the market for a manager job. And then they started whispering him about Man United. And, you know, a week or so later, he pops up at Leicester.
Did well in Holland when he was manager under difficult circumstances, some trophies, was a very good assistant coach at United. Nice little 6-game stint in charge. Yeah, I think for those clubs in a relegation battle with Leicester, that's not good news. Because I think he'll be good. I think he'd be very good for Leicester, depending if they can get him a few tools to help in January. So that's really what's going to separate the men from the boys down there. Who's going to get the help? You know, are any of those clubs going to get their managers' help? Are they going to change their managers? You know, Leicester now have gone ahead and pulled the trigger and changed theirs. So, yeah, I think Leicester will be a different animal come January time.
Let's see what else is going on. So, in the Championship, Hull sacked Tim Walter. So they're currently in the relegation zone. So probably not much of a surprise after they went away from it was Rosinia, wasn't it, last year? That had them doing pretty well before he got sacked.
Yeah, did brilliant. Yeah, not a good decision. So I think like two clubs that are struggling that you're surprised at this year, Luton and Hull.
Yeah.
You know, everyone expected Luton to be up there. So, you know, obviously Hull now are going through their own changes. I thought, you know, Hull have spent a lot of money. You know, Luton came down from the Premier League, you know, the Premier League parachute money. And they're really, really struggling to adapt. So, yeah, I've got no idea. The champ looks so strong now on the other end, you know, whether it's Sheffield United, whether it's Leeds, whether, you know, I think Blackburn knocked off Leeds, did they, the other night?
Yeah.
I think Leeds, look, you know, you know, Middlesbrough on any given day look like a terrific team scoring goals for fun. Burnley, so many big clubs, you know, in the Championship right now. Obviously, I'm greedy. I want Sheffield United to win promotion. I've got a million reasons for that. So, you know, very important for that to happen. So let's see.
Did Luton never really built a Premier League team when they were in the Premier League? And
no, so... I think, and I forgive the club in a way from criticism, whereby they've got a new stadium they're focusing on.
Right.
They never expected to be in the Prem so early. You know, you can't criticize them for not splashing the cash in a big way. They didn't really splash the cash when they came down. But I think they've got so many bigger things going on off the pitch. And after what happened to them in the past, you know, at the end of the day, Luton don't want to be spending 5, 6, 7, 8 million on players. Do you know what I mean? And whatever. So, you know, it's a really well-run club. You know, I've talked to some people in the game and think, oh no, they're in trouble. They're going to go down. I actually don't think they'll go down. You know, and I think they'll be, you know, I don't know about their manager. Maybe they'll change him. Maybe they won't. Who knows? But I think as a club, you know, I think they'll be fine. And I think, you know, it'd be foolish to write them off.
Yeah, as an outsider, I would imagine that there is money there to be spent in January. You know, should they feel like they need some reinforcements.
But I think they've a lot of injury problems, and I think they've got a good squad. You know, and if they're fully fit, they shouldn't need to sign loads of players. You know, they've definitely improved their squad since last time they were in the Championship. So, and they won promotion, but it was built on clean sheets. It was built on defensive resilience, you know, and whatever else. So at the moment they're struggling. So I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of them, so I couldn't tell you what is exactly the problem, because they've definitely got the firepower. You know, maybe young Joe Taylor, my ex-player, it's his time to shine. He'll finally get a run of games. I think, you know, that to me has amazed me, that a player of his ability, you know, hasn't got 5, 6, 7 starts in that Luton team, because he'd score goals for fun in the Championship. And he's got pace, he's got everything. And, you know, if you're struggling to get results, you know, go with the youngster, try it. Yep. You know, what's the worst that can happen? And if it doesn't work, then, well, okay, sell him. But, like, give him an opportunity.
And in League One, I mean, the Wycombe train keeps on going. They're
phenomenal.
38 points, 16 games, 4 points clear of Wrexham in second. Phenomenal. And you have Stockport in fourth. So it's just been really interesting to see. I mean, Wrexham is not a surprise. Stockport are obviously really well backed. However, it usually takes a little bit of consolidation, and maybe it will come the end of the season, but they've had a great start as well to life in League One.
Fair play to Wrexham, Stockport, Wycombe, unbelievable. Like their manager, a really good guy. You know, what they're doing, they seem to be unbeatable. They're just, you know, and whilst they signed some good signings in the summer on loan and free, they didn't go out and splash loads of cash. You know, a la even Peterborough, or a la Birmingham, or a la Huddersfield, or a la one of those. You know, they, you know, fair play. That's testament to their manager. They just have that steely resilience. You know, this is like the new Wycombe now, post Gareth Ainsworth. And I think their biggest fear would be keeping the manager, because there's no doubt that every club higher up now will be going, Jesus, look at what this guy's done. You know, it's not like he's gone and spent 2 million, 3 million, even $1 million. You know, look what he's done. Look what he's doing. Look at the football they're playing. So fair play to them, and you know, hopefully it continues for them, because as we said, there's so many massive clubs in this league. It's there's a long way to go, and you know, the second half of the season is, like I've always said to you, is like March onwards is when it matters. So, but it wouldn't surprise me to see Wycombe still up there in March, that's for sure.
And just looking at the FA Cup, obviously shout outs to Tamworth.
Brilliant.
Who got themselves into the third round and now have Spurs at, I mean, I would imagine that would get switched, do you think? Or are they...
I'd like that. Do you know what? Shame on whoever made the rules to get rid of replays. Because there were 3 clubs, 100%. 3 clubs, you know, from non-league that should have gone, instead of extra time and losing, who should have had replays and should have made more money and should have been on the TV and the replays. And we have to do something to scrap this. We have to bring them back, because you've cost some non-league clubs some life-changing money, you know, with that decision. And, you know, good luck to Tamworth and all those, but just look how many, I don't know if we're down on the amount of non-league clubs in round 3 as usual. You know, it'd be interesting to see if you usually have a lot more at this stage, because they got those replays and they got those clubs back to their ground. You know, the club that, you know, they were 3-3 with Reading going into extra
Harbour
time.
Town.
You know,
Kettering were 1-1 Doncaster.
Correct. You know, if they'd gone to replays, was there a chance? You know, so I'm gutted for those clubs, but the magic of the cup, you know, you're taking that away, and you know, let's say by some miracle we got Everton back to ours for a replay. You know, that would sell out at our place. We'd be on TV. You're talking about £500,000.
And those are some of the nights that you remember for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember an Everton FA Cup game on a Tuesday night, you know, in the 80s that we played, late 80s, and we beat them in that, and you still, you know, get goosebumps thinking about it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, you know, and you've always got a fighter's chance at your place, you know, most teams do. So, you know, that's what we've taken out of it. That's why, you know, the TV companies are mad. Like, they should have insisted, like, you know, they're the games people want to tune in for. And it's like, yeah, God almighty. I mean, what are we doing? Like, yeah, and some of those games weren't even on TV, by the way.
Right.
You know, like the non-leagues. And you go, what's going on? Like, why weren't they on TV? So who knows? But anyway, we're all into the round 3. And, you know, obviously, unfortunately, Bradford aren't, but we are. And, you know, hopefully we'll see where it takes us. But like I said, eyes on now for the league. You know, more pressing matters over the next 5 weeks until that game.
So let's get to a couple of questions before we wrap up for the day. A question from Wayne. With the recent game at Charlton being called off the Sunday before it was due to be played because of international call-ups, I want to know why any club is allowed to call it off so late when fans have already made bookings. Now, is there any rules on how far you have to wait before you postpone a game for international call-ups?
No idea. And it wasn't, you know, the people called up by Charlton, I think, they weren't even really main for it. But I don't disagree with Charlton doing it. I think they had quite a few injuries, and we probably have done the same. And I don't want that to sound horrible to the fans, but that's just like, I can't criticize Charlton for doing it. I can criticize the timing from, you know, the EFL and from the, you know, how long out do we give fans? I'm gutted for fans who've made travel arrangements. Hopefully it's long enough in advance, a week, where you can get a refund on a train ticket. You're definitely going to get a refund from Charlton, you know, as regards to your tickets. So, you know, unfortunately, this is we got caught last year multiple times, didn't we? With games called off, with late issues. You know, I had to go out and, you know, fund Charlton tickets, you know, for what happened that time they came to our place. I didn't need to, but I did it. You know, is what it is.
Should there be stronger rules then about what constitutes an international call-up, as an example?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. You know, I'm not qualified, you know what I mean, to say what rules should be. But yeah, you know, maybe it should be, you know, 3 players that are definitely, like, maybe got more minutes in your team, more minutes involved. I don't know. But whatever the rules were, they met the rules. So, you know, they had 3 players called up, they could call the game off. So, you know, like I said, 99% of clubs would do it, particularly when I heard they had a few injuries. Now, you know, no wonder we do the same, you know.
A question from Daniel. Do you think all BSM games, which I think is now the Virtue Trophy or something like that, hasn't it? It's changed its name the last week. Should they be moved to international breaks and call all League 1 and League 2 games off instead of having them
yeah, potentially. But I guess the problem then is the Premier League academies won't be able to play a lot of their young players if they go away with England under 20s and under 21s and all of that. So that will kind of defeat the purpose of having Premier League teams in the trophy with the extra money. So, but yeah, ideally it's not, none of it's ideal. It is what it is. I personally prefer you just get rid of all teams playing on international weekend, you know, from, I don't know, maybe League 1 upwards. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? So who knows?
And a question from Andrew. Can Darragh explain what Posh does to help new players integrate into the club in the area? I know personally it's a big challenge when you move to a new place with work. You need to create a new life, and that might have a big bearing on any players really performing at expected levels when they come in.
So we try to group players up together so they look after each other. Liz does a lot of work, shows people around. We use certain agents. A lot of the players will want their own place when they come in. I don't always agree with that. I think a 20-year-old coming in, like we had Nevitt in the summer come in, who's 18, you know, I think he wanted his own place. I'm like, well, you should live with someone. Like young Donne, who broke into the first team this year, he's moved in with a Colchester boy. So they live in a nice apartment right next to the stadium. I shouldn't give the location away, but the point is they're together. So you got 2 young lads, same age, together, so they can look out for each other. I don't like young players because I've got a young son who's 19. I wouldn't want him living on his own. So I would want company for him. And I think it's really healthy. And we saw that with Joel, who spent a lot of time on his own when he first came. And Archie moved in with him, and he's a different character. So we have a lot of checks going on behind the scenes. You know, we had a player recently who was on the list to go out on loan who didn't answer their phone on a Sunday. And the manager was all over it. We had someone go around their house. We had someone check on them. And all it was he'd gone for a long hike and basically like just turned his phone off.
Yeah.
But like, you know, we like to know where all our young players are, you know, particularly maybe the players who weren't involved or in the first team or struggling. You just want to keep an eye on it. So we're really good for that stuff. And yeah, I'm really proud of the efforts that everyone at the club plays in that. So it's really important nowadays. Young people are very different to what they are 20 years ago. So you just have to like look out for them a lot more. And I would say the same to any older Posh fans when you're out and about in the city, in the town. If you see the players, keep an eye on them for us. And if you see anything you don't like the look of, let us know at the club.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's call that a day.
Cool.
Today. Thank you again, as always, for your time. Thank you. We've got a bunch more questions that we can get to in the next episode as well, but keep them coming. You can email them to contact@hardtruthfootball.com or just DM us on any of the social media sites.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, we'll talk soon and have a good week.
Cheers.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye.